Hello, crafty queens, and welcome to Paper Rain. It's me, Rachel Bellamy, aka Queenpreneur, and today I want to share with you one of my Black Panther inspired pieces. So I was super excited about the movie Black Panther coming out, to the point where all week I was making prints, and I just was getting ready for when I saw the movie. Once I saw the movie, there was one scene that I knew I had to dedicate a piece of art to, and it was a scene where Okoye, who's the general, is in a battle. It's the battle scene, and this is me at the movies. It's a battle scene, and the rhinoceros comes and meets her face to face, and it instantly stops and licks her face. And the conversation between herself and her lover is, he asks her, would she really kill him? And she says, for Wakanda, without question. And so that's where the quote comes, without question. It was a very powerful scene for me. So I wanted to dedicate my piece to kind of capture the essence of that, kind of the balance of, there was this balance of strength and beauty, of intimacy. It was just a beautiful scene. And so my question here is, I wanted to know, does anyone else do their art in sessions? So the way I begin is during a work week. I will start with step one, which is on Sunday. I usually will print off a bunch of jelly prints. So that's what you see right here. I have a bunch of jelly prints that I make on Sundays, and I work on them throughout the week. But I store them right here, right next to my jelly print. Then the next one is to layer. This is the same process for all of them. So I work on multiple prints, but my next step is to lay down a layer of paint through a stencil. So as you see from that picture, I had a jelly print that probably had 4 or 5, 6, 7 layers of paint already on it, and then I'm going to now start building up my focal point, or the image that is the most important to it. So here's one of the pages that I showed you earlier. I added a stencil on top, and I believe, I couldn't tell you that stencil to save my life, but it's one of my favorites, and I use it all the time. I think it might be called tribal print, but I'll try to look it up. Maybe it's printed on the thing. So you're going to see I use this new stencil I got from Michael's, and I learned a valuable lesson here about this stencil. So it's one of those stencils that have the adhesive on it, like you're supposed to use it to paint lamp shades or something, right? Well, the adhesive, if you leave it on too long, it will actually stick, especially to pre-painted surfaces. So it adhered to the paint, and as I'm doing my little dab to get the image clear, it's going to stick. Now you'll also see that I'm a big fan of these makeup sponges. Why? Because they allow you to get a clean print. And how do you get a clean print? By not using too much paint. And so you'll see me, I was dabbing it off on the side. Yeah, see me here ripping my paper up? Yeah. So lesson learned was turn it over and stencil from the non-adhesive side. And so I'm going to finish the print, and that was my thumbs up. I was kind of mad, but nevertheless, you just keep moving, right? And so I finished my image, and I do this. So this is my process. So step one is the layers of jelly print layers. My step two is to put some kind of image through a stencil. And now I'm trying, as I said, I'm building up my focal image, and I will work on this throughout the entire week. But it's a little bit of play every day. As I say, a little bit of play keeps the doctors away and keeps my stress level down. And so here's one of the pieces. And my third step is so now I've gone to the movie and I've seen the movie, and now I know what I want to do. I want to make some faces. At this point, I don't know which face I'm going to make, but I knew I was going to make some brown girls because I was going to go see a brown girl movie, or rather a movie with brown girl actresses in it. So I wanted to experiment with darker hues, and one of my friends, Facebook, Instagram friends, and if we knew each other for real, we'd be like best buds, but we had conversed over Instagram about, she paints beautiful darker hue skins, and I was just trying to figure out what is her secret. And so she told me her secret was, one, she starts with a layer of paint underneath, and then two, she uses burnt umber and burnt sienna to get dark hues. I said, I think I have those, but I think I had to end up going by I had to go buy a burnt umber because I didn't have that paint color. So nevertheless, this is how I usually make skin tones. I will jelly print my skin tones. I like it because, one, it gives the skin some dimension and some character. and I really never know what I'm going to get. But what I do is I layer down some paint, and I always use a gold. Oh, probably primarily because when I was little, my mom used to say my skin was golden. And she told me that since I was a little bitty girl. Oh, you have such beautiful golden skin. And so I tend to put gold in my skin tones because, again, it just reminds me of what my mom used to say. And so here I'm just showing you how I lay down some paint, and then I pull up a print, and the print will have some texture and pattern in it, and I just want you to see it. So I'm just gathering up some because I'll make little faces later. I'll make some big faces, and my objective is just to get a lot of these brown tones, brown golden tones onto paper so that I can stamp on top of them to create faces. And so I'm just going to show you this one. And so that's one, not the best pull. But you get the point, is that I layer down the paints, I pull up the print, and pull up all the browns, the goodies I can get. And I'm going to do it again. I think I'm going to do this one more time. And so again, I'm using the burnt umber. I went and got one because I think I got the burnt sienna. I went and bought a large burnt sienna. And I have the Jane Davenports on the side. I also have Okay, so now I'm about to do my final pull, and it's going to be my winning pull, and I use my normal colors. So I'm using burnt umber, burnt sienna, the gold, the orange gold, and some golden. So that's the 4 colors I used. And then I'm pulling it onto khaki. And so what I first did was I got a solid layer down because my friend had said she had a solid layer underneath. And then I'm going to give some like shade contour, if you will. See how pretty that is? Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And so then I'm going to add another layer to give it some contrast. And so I use my burnt umber, my burnt sienna, and I think I used a little golden. Yeah, I left out my normal, I'm going to call it orange color because I didn't want it to be the same print. I wanted it to have a different gradient so that it would you would see the shadow in the stencil. So I'm going to lay down a stencil, one of my favorite stencils. I'm going to lay it down. And this is a Stencil Girl stencil. I think it's called Ancient, maybe. I'll have to look it up for you, but it's one of my favorites. I use it all the time, especially for when I do faces. And so now I'm going to put that khaki piece that looked like leather back down, and I'm pulling it up so that you can see that I have this nice cool gradient that shows up in her face now, or at least what's going to be her skin. And the moment of truth is coming. Dun, dun, dun. Any day now, Rachel. Pull the print. Pull the print. Oh, look at that. Is that not the yummiest? Like, it was really hard to okay, so anyway, I'm going to show you all the pieces that I finally ended up with. This is another one. It has a lot more red in it. There's another one. Here's the one that I'm going to use, and she turns into that. And so what I did was I stenciled up a bunch of them. I put faces on them. Here's some more examples of the various face stencils. And I have a lot of face stencils. I just picked like 4 or 5 of them that I used. And I like having them already made because I can use them later. So then my next step 4, is to add in some collage pieces. And so here I have, one day during the week, I decided it's time to figure out what I'm actually going to do. I've seen the movie now, and I know I want to use that scene. You'll see the mask that I made. That was a piece that I made during the week. Here I'm looking at the faces. I'm trying to figure out which girl is going to become Okoyo. And so I decide to use that background and that face. She's already been stenciled, and I'm just trying to figure out my placement, what makes a lot of sense. I want to make sure that I can see the batik print that comes from, those are art foamies, and that jelly print piece, oh sorry, I want you to see her face. So I'm trying to recreate the tattoo on her head. She's my inspiration for for this piece. And so I noticed the reds in that picture. I noticed golds in that picture. And so that's what I'm going to highlight and work on, especially in particular that tattoo that's on her head. So here I'm trying to just kind of sketch out how I think the tattoo would need to look. And I did a study on the tattoo, and in Black Panther, triangles were the symbol, were the sacred symbol for the people of Wakanda. And so I knew I was going to use one of these stencils that you see to the right that have triangles in them. Now, her tattoo, when I read about why they had a tattoo on her head, apparently it was a sign of rank. It's supposed to be a sign of rank. And that if you look at all the other warriors, they had varying degrees of tattoos, but she had a full head. Her whole head was tattooed because she was the general. And so I am now just going to try to recreate it, but more so just be inspired by it. And I'm drawing, I put down this little piece of paper to act as a mask so that I wouldn't get stencils in the wrong place. I had to go find some masking tape to make sure that I could hold down my mask on her face, and I moved my background piece out because sometimes I get a little ambitious with my stamping and I didn't want to erroneously stamp on my background. So I moved my background and I'm masking off the pieces that I need, and then I'm just going to take that triangle stamp and I'm going to go for it. And you'll just see me trying to, figure out what's the right angle to do it. Again, in the mornings when I'm doing this, it's, I'm trying to figure out, I want to use the right. Oh, that's right. I remembered. That's right. So I have to paint. That's what I was. I was conferring back to the picture. That's why I looked at my phone and saw, oh, wow, the background of her. Before I can put the black marks, I've got to create there's a red tint to her tattoo. And so I know my background is red, but I don't want her head to blend in with the background. And so I create kind of a red gold color. I mix the red that I use in the background, and I mix it with one of my golden paints. I think this is the bronze copper paint you get from Target. And I create this reddish hue that is going to now act as the base of her skin tattoo, and then I will put the triangle on top. I had forgot all about that. Yeah. I'm glad I did confer, because that was a critical element. It makes her tattoo stand out because it makes some distinction between her scalp and her face, if you will. I made a little mistake there. That's why you got to keep paper towels handy, and I'm just clearing it up, and I'm going to use my heat tool soon, and I will stop so that you don't have to watch me do that. I put some texture with my new texture combs in. I'm using my little texture combs, my Ranger texture combs. They're real cute. They're small. They came out a couple years ago. There's about 8 of them you can get a total of 8. They're really handy, especially for detail work like that. I have some larger ones, but I tend to use those a lot. We're going to let this dry and come back when it is dry. Okay, it is all the way dry, and I take my mask off. I'm going to put it aside. I've got some extra red paint, and so I am going to not let it go to use. I'm going to pull up this stencil, and I'm going to paint this stencil on. Now, normally I don't paint stencils on, but I figured, what the hey, it's already on my paintbrush, and all I could do is mess it up, right? So I'm playing with this stencil and the paintbrush, and to my surprise, it actually came out pretty good. But again, not my preferred method. But look at that. It's actually kind of clean and neat. I was pleasantly surprised that I could get a clean mark like that with a regular paintbrush. And I caught myself trying to get some of the sapping off. I got very little, but you know how we are. We don't want to waste a drop of paint. And so I'm going to continue to use the rest of this red, just sapping it up, doing my preferred method. With one of my stencil brushes as opposed to my paintbrush. And I am getting the print, and looks lovely. I put that aside. And now we are Apparently, I'm still going to use some more of this red paint. Again, I don't want to waste any paint at all. So I'm just cleaning out my brush on some more prints. That's actually how I like to work. I like to have lots of working prints around me so that I can, use up supplies when I have paint out. But I can work on multiple pieces at one time. So I put my mask back on, because she's all the way dry, and now I'm just trying to position this stencil to get that effect of the triangles. And again, I'm trying to highlight the triangles due to the symbolism from the commentary about the movie. What really fascinated me most about the movie, and I've seen it 3 times now, is the detail of the art in this movie was amazing. I went back the second and third time, because the first time, all I could think about the whole movie, other than just being super excited, was look at the level of detail in the color choice, in the meaning of symbols, in just the art alone. Like some of the scenes, if I could draw, I would draw them right then. So don't be surprised if you don't see a lot of these Black Panther inspired pieces, because I just was in love with the imagery and the beautiful artistry that I think her name is Ruth, put into the costume. Just amazing. So you just see me here tattooing the lady's head. Got a clean stencil. I was quite excited about that. I notice here that I don't have I confer with my phone, and she has like a little in the front. It's a stronger, I don't know what you want to call it, but I needed to adjust the front of the tattoo, a little more. And so I'm going to go back in and I'm going to fix that and make it more triangular, even on her head, the way the statue is. Right now it's kind of rounded like a baseball cap, and it needs to be more triangular in the front part. So you'll see me make that adjustment in a minute. But back to my soliloquy and dissertation on the imagery. I was fascinated just by like the detail. Like one of the things that the director had said was, you always see the Black Panther in black, and you always see Nakia in green, and you always saw Okoye in red. And I just thought that was beautiful, and his tribute to Pan-Africanism, and just beautiful all around. As an artist, I was overwhelmed by the artistry. It was so pretty. All of the little symbols, all the little details. And so you see me make my little mark. What do you call that? Anybody know? If you know what that's called, just type it in so I know, because I know there's a name, right? Like my brain is going, there is a name for that. And because I don't know what it is, I'm just going to keep talking about it. But nevertheless, watch me fill it in. I'll put a little bitty paint of red. Of course, remember I use up all my red? Yeah, I use up all my red, but I found a couple I had to go with my fine tooth comb. I had to go with my fine tooth paint brushes, my little ones, and just paint that in there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of stencil back in there too, just to finish it up. Again, some of the little details that just, make a piece, make a piece yours, right? I think you saw me use a pit marker. Just wanted to outline the detail of the face a little more, the detail of the outline of her tattoo and of her scalp and of her profile. And I think she looks great. I think I'm going to work on her lips at some point. I don't know if I do it now. I needed to make the lips a little fuller, and I do a little shadowing on the nose to broaden the nose. And now I'm picking out some other collage pieces. So I pull up my little stack of deli papers, and I like some of the additional images and imagery I can add to it, some more patterns, some more of these batik patterns, some more circles and stars and starbursts, and there was just so much jewelry and attention to detail that I just had to keep going, right? So I pull out some pieces that I think might work, because one, they're in the color scheme that I have, which is kind of this red and gold and black. And I pulled out, for a minute there, I'm like, well, I can make it look like an earring. That's what you see me doing now. So I'm trying out the different pieces of which one do I think make it pop, because I didn't want her to get lost. A part of also this is making sure that she doesn't get lost in the and the strength of the background image. That batik is a very powerful image and could overtake her, and I needed her to stand out. And so one of the things that I did was to kind of lessen the impact of the batik by breaking it up, and so that you see the batik on one side but you see something else on the other, and because both images are so equally strong, she's able to stand out above them both. And creating balance in collages is in itself an art form, and so you'll see me play and manipulate and try to get it right. And I actually make a mistake. I put down one, and I think it's the one, and then I go back and I change it because I just didn't like it. It didn't carry enough weight. I needed it to carry a little more weight than it did, and so I'm gonna go back in a couple minutes and change it. So don't get too attached to that one. I'm just warning you. So back to the imagery, right? So I literally, when I watched it the first time, I was like, man, I wish I had my sketch pad. Now, mind you, I'm not a sketcher, but in that moment, I wanted to become a sketcher because I was going to draw like all the little Adrinka symbols, all the symbols that I could see in the background, like all the kente cloth, all of just the just the little symbols. They just were like, oh, what is that one? What is that one? So I will pre-order this movie and probably do like still frames just so that I can gather and make some of my own stencils that capture the uniqueness of this movie. I was just literally just inspired. I was inspired on so many levels. So back to why I picked this image, and you'll see me fiddling in the background and drying stuff, and oh yeah, I'm trying to adhere it. I'm using some what is that, gel medium? I think it's Faber-Castell medium. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but it'll do, right? So I'm adhering the collage, and you can watch me work, but you can also listen to me rant, right? So one of the reasons why I really liked that scene where the rhinoceros comes up and Okoye stands in the way. She stands to protect the king, right? And the throne and all that symbolizes. To me, it was just such a powerful scene because here is this gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous, beautiful woman, and she's a general. She is the most powerful soldier they have, and in all her might, this rhinoceros is charging at her, and she puts her body in the way of this rhinoceros to protect. And that rhinoceros, in all of his speed, stops to complete halt and licks her face. And it's such a powerful scene because the dichotomy that was there, right? So you got strength, and at the same time you've got this softness, right? You've got this bravery and courage, and you also got this intimacy. I mean, it was such a beautiful, well executed scene, and then her response was everything, without question. There is no question that for the throne, for the kingdom, for what I believe in, heck yeah. I mean, I just love that scene. I thought, to me, it's funny because I remember when I watched it, I was like, okay, that right there was Black girl magic. Why do I say that? Is because, as an African American woman, and if you know my story and my history, strong is kind of the is kind of the mantle I wear all the time, right? Like I went to West Point Military Academy, and so people always assume that I'm ultra strong, not necessarily physically, but mentally, right? But it's got to be this balance, and when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, those who are closest to me know, it's not the strength that's my power. It's the fact that I love so intensely, and I just love that scene. I thought that was just amazing to be so strong in the world and yet still show up and be able to be soft and to be, it's just, so to me, this was all why this piece was everything for me, and it meant so much to me. Here's a warrior. I have been trained. I went to America's Warrior School, right? I've been trained to be a warrior, but at the end of the day, I can stop some rhinos if necessary, right? Anyway, so if you have not seen the movie, that is what we call a spoiler alert. Sorry. But to those of you who've seen it, you can relate. If you haven't seen it, go see it, and you'll understand why I was just so excited about that scene. So anyway, so I've adhered her. I've got my collage down, and I am trying to make sure she stays on the sheet, getting all my little corners down. If anybody knows a really great medium that really works, and I say that because she's there right now, but like a week later she's trying to curl, she's curling off the page. And so if anybody knows a really good medium that for collages, please let me know, and I'll throw out all the fake ones I have, or the not fake ones, but you know what I mean. You get them on sale and you get what you pay for. And I have some expensive brands, but I'm still looking for one that's perfect. So as I mentioned, remember I told you I made a mistake and I was going to switch it out. And so I switched it out. I put another one on. And so as we wait for paint to dry and mediums to dry, I just really loved all the colors in the picture, in the movie too, especially that scene where they're on the rock and you see the whole rainbow. That was a gorgeous scene, all those colors. My final step is I add my quote and my details. And so again, from the scene, I kind of abbreviated the quote, and the quote I'm choosing to use is "without question." So I printed it out in multiple sizes because I didn't know what size would look best. I tend to do that. I'll print it out in 2 or 3 sizes, and then I'll just kind of test out the different sizes and to see which one fits better. Sometimes I like a little small quote. Other times I like a prominent quote. Since I'm not doing the whole quote, like the entire statement, this entire sentence, I went with just the words "without question," and I'm going to go with the smaller one of the two. And I'm right here. I'm grabbing some of my PBO paint markers. I just got these from Michael's, and I grabbed a gold one, and I'm just adding some detail, or maybe I'm adding paint. Okay. So what I did was I got my PBO marker out, and then I got my distress, and I'm distressing the corners, the edges of the cutout of the quote to give it some dimension so that it won't just get lost in the page. And I'm looking at it, it needs something, and so I decide to add some gold details to it. And right now I'm just finding the right color gold to add to it. And I'm just going to make some little marks. That's what you see me here. I'm adding some gold paint. Oh, this is one of my favorite golds. It's an Art Alchemy gold. I believe it's called Stream Punk or something like that. It is the best color. And so I'm going to add just some little details, these little dashes, if you will, just to kind of bring this piece together with the other pieces. And so I have gold in her face and her skin hue. I have gold in the backdrop of the stencil, the starburst stencil that you see on the right. And so I'm just kind of adding some gold so that the gold ties the pieces together. And it's honestly, this is like one of my favorite parts of the entire process. I often say that the jelly printing is my favorite. And I like the jelly printing because there's a mystery. You never know what you're going to get. I like that. I like the freedom of the jelly plate, again, because you just don't know. And so for me, I tend to be a perfectionist and a high performer. And so one of the things that I like about jelly printing is it forces me to release control, right? And one of the things I like about detail work and this part of it is very relaxing. Like it's very relaxing to just sit there and make the little hashtags and the dashes and the dots. It's, you just take whatever you're thinking about and you just kind of make these detailed dots, and you're paying attention to detail, but you get lost kind of in the creation of the art, right? So what you saw me do there was I dried the paint with my heat tool, and now I'm going to add some more details. Oh, what you see, and I apologize for getting out of camera, but I made those little circles. I made those little circles with a marker top, and I was basically creating a necklace for her, because if you remember in the original picture, she wears this gold kind of neck, and I don't know what you call it, but basically her neck and her collarbone are covered in this gold metal. And so I made her a kind of a metal, and now I'm decorating, giving her some jewels on her ears, kind of like an earring. I was trying to make the illusion that thing behind her neck is kind of an earring. But see those little gold circles? I made those with just taking a marker top and dipping it in the paint, and I made those circles and to create kind of a necklace and adorn a necklace. And now I'm doing one of my favorite things, and as I'm going to grab a gold PBO paint marker. Oh, what you see here is I hate to waste paint. Like, I mean, I hate it. So one of the reasons why I like working on multiple pieces is because I'll just grab another piece, and rather than throw the paint away or wipe the paint off, I'll just put some marks. And so I grab another piece. There's the paint. I'll grab another piece, and I added some of those same circles to another piece that I was working on. And so I'm looking at it, just trying to see what do I think I need. And I mean, I could have been done, but I know that I like adding the details. And so I'm just kind of deciding what I'm going to do, how much detail I'm going to add. And I'm going to add some dots, I believe. Oh, I wanted to dry. It wasn't dry yet, and I didn't want to mess it up, so I used my heat tool just to set the jewelry. And again, I'm assessing what's next. Again, part of this process is I just really enjoy the details part. You know, it's what makes a piece unique. It's what lets you know that someone, for me, it's a way of showing you cared. You know, you spent that extra time, because the piece could have been done. The piece literally could have been done probably 10 minutes ago. But for me, this is what I like. I like the adding the details. And so I am adhering my quote. Kind of just, I'm talking myself through whether I think it's done or not. And I'm adhering my quote with my gel medium. So I've adhered the quote, and now I'm going to start this paint marker, and I'm just going to grab another piece that I have that I'm working on, and I'm making sure that the white paint has come down to the nib. It's a PBO paint marker. They're really good markers. I just recently got them at Michael's. I wanted to test them out in comparison with my others, and they seem very very nice. They have a nice flow, nice color. And so I'm just giving her eyes some detail so that they kind of stand out from underneath the gold that is her golden brown skin. And I'm going to do both of them. And so I'm just painting her eye. I'm going to paint her other eye. Now I'm going to try to see what other details I want to add to her face. She's coming along quite nicely. I think she's gorgeous. So now I'm just trying to figure out what to add. I decided to grab my gold PBO marker, and after I've gotten the paint to come down, I'm just going to add some detail work. As I mentioned, this is probably one of my favorite parts in terms of it's very relaxing. I don't know how relaxing it is to watch it, but it's very relaxing to actually do this piece, to see how much, how little, just the details. These are the little things that make art stand out. So what I didn't want her hair, to get lost in the background detail of the batik pattern that I have back there. And so the gold, by putting those gold dots, it now gives the background some distinction. And I'm just going to play and do this for a little while. And at first I was just going to do a couple of the X's, and then I liked it, and so I started adding it to some of the lines, and I'm going to play with this paint marker and just have a really good time. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this process. I think I'll do more of these process videos. One of the things I just wanted to encourage people is that, you can find time to incorporate art into your life. Let me just say this, if I can find time to do it, then anybody can find time to do it. And so my technique is one of those that just, I do a little bit a day. I don't put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm set up so that when I get up to the attic, I can just go ahead and start doing a little bit. And I don't mind that it takes literally all week to do this project. It's something that I'm working on. It's relaxing. It's a little bit of peace every day in a busy life and in a busy day. And those 5 minutes or 10 minutes that I steal away up into the attic, they make all the difference. And I was reading this article about, the impact that stress has on the body, and long-term stress and wear and tear has on the body. And so I just encourage you to, find if an outlet, a way to relieve some stress. For me, this is my therapy. This is the way I unwind, making these something about. And so I'm just adding details. I'm going to make some marks and decorate these triangles and these squares. Just again, making the batik try to pop is my goal. And here's some close-up of the details. One of the things I needed to fix and work on was her lips. I needed some fuller lips. And so you'll notice in that picture that I painted above the template of the stencil. And again, I would encourage you, don't be afraid to modify stencils to make them work for you. This stencil that I used on this one is a Balzer design stencil. In the stencil that it comes with, she has a lot of hair, like a ponytail. I just didn't stencil that part. And I modified the nose a little bit to make it broader, and I made the lips a little thicker than the stencil had to represent some of the features of African American women, or African women for that matter. Okay, so here I'm just making, again, more details. I put the little dots, and I'm finished looking at it. I think I'm done. I think she's complete. I'm going to take a look at her and see how she is. I hope you like it. Give her a thumbs up. Oh, I decided that she needed something to pop, so I put her on a background real quick, and I think the black background it grounds the picture. Now, if I could do it all over again, I'd probably put a white background and then a black, but the black is fine. I'm going to go with the black, and I'm going to go cut it and come back, and there she is. I'm just trying to show you some of the details so you can see how she looks. And I love the details. Look at her skin. Her skin is so gorgeous, and those details on the batik and the little gold. I really enjoyed making her. I really enjoyed reflecting on the movie as I made her, and just the beauty in diversity. And this movie it was an awesome movie. I was very proud of it. I was very proud to see how they. Here's my question: did you see Black Panther, and did you notice all of the art? I've gone literally 4 times, and I just have such an appreciation. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Would love to have you here on my channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.